There's our generator. You just have to turn it on.
Ivas and Sergey Asmanov are glad they've got their own electricity generator, even if it's expensive. Very expensive, they say. Sergey's wife, Lilia, invites us in. Coffee's good for the nerves, she jokes. And this family needs strong nerves now more than ever. Like many Crimean Tatars, the Asmanovs feel caught in the crossfire between Ukraine and Russia, especially since the widespread power failure. Moscow blames Crimean Tatar and Ukrainian activists for blowing up electricity transmission towers to protest against the Russian annexation of Crimea. Now all the Tatars are under suspicion.
They don't blame the Crimean Tatars to our faces. They talk about bandits and look at us suspiciously. Some are saying we should move to Ukraine. But why? We Crimean Tatars are staying here. Nobody can intimidate us. We're used to troubles. We'll survive this too.
But for now, many Crimeans, Tatars, and others have to survive without electricity. Bakhchisaray, near Sevastopol, is a typical Crimean Tatar community. The Tatars were once the majority in Crimea, but the Soviets deported many of them after World War II. Some returned after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. But they remain suspicious of Moscow, especially since Russia's takeover of Crimea. And they also worry that the West may be prepared to use Crimea as a bargaining chip in a compromise with Russia in the ongoing Ukraine conflict. The local hospital has power only for the most essential facilities, the laboratory, and a few pieces of equipment. That's thanks to the resourceful director, who obtained 2 generators somewhere when the blackout started 2 weeks before.
Unfortunately, it's not enough. Our X-ray machine could only be operated for 2 days and 2 weeks. The authorities switch on emergency power for a little while, but don't say when, just for a few hours at night when we don't really need it.
Ukraine has promised to restore electricity to Crimea as soon as possible, and the power has been coming back on bit by bit. The hospital director couldn't wait and went looking for more generators, so his patients wouldn't have to travel the 35 kilometers to the capital Simferopol for relatively minor injuries. There are more generators available there. But even in Simferopol, the streets are dark, and night falls early at this time of year. The residents haven't yet seen much of the power restoration that's been announced. Suddenly, we see light, lots of light. The Russian-sponsored government is holding a festival, especially for the Crimean Tatars, in the midst of the blackout. It seems to be meant to send the message, we're doing something for the minority, unlike what many believe. The Crimean Tatars have nothing to worry about. Crimean Prime Minister SERGEY made a personal appearance.
Life goes on in spite of all the difficulties, so it was the right thing to organize this festival. My congratulations for that.
In Bakhchisaray, the lights were still off. Candles provided the only light during the long evenings. The boys in this house say they drink tea or go outside to pass the time.
Our Crimean Tatar leaders do nothing for us. Is that a nice life? It's just painful.
The Asmanovs don't seem to expect any help from anyone, neither the authorities nor the Crimean Tatar leaders. They help themselves, thanks partly to their generator.
See for yourself. As soon as it gets dark, we fire up the machine and have light until morning.
And it's also warm in their home. Lilia is baking pierogies for when the neighbors drop in later. Like most Crimean Tatars, the Asmanovs have had to adapt to Russian rule. They have little choice. They hope they can keep on living here peacefully with their fellow ethnic Russian Crimeans.
We're often visited by people from the village who can't afford a generator. Every day someone comes by. We sit together and talk, play cards, or even watch television.
If anything good comes of the power outage, Lilia hopes it might bring Crimea's ethnic Russians and Tatars closer together and allay some of the present suspicions.